Now, next up is the styling. For that, I have pasted here some different kinds of markers, line style and colors. But you can read that yourself. There are many different ways how to customize all your plots. So first, let's start with some example data. We want data from, let's say, 0 to 5, and let's say steps from 0.2. Okay, this will be our data. Then we do 3 different kind of lanes. So first, plt.plot to plot it normally. And then let's say first our color. We have multiple ways to add color. So let's say we want a red one. Then we want a label. The label simply says we want, it's our X. Then we want to set a marker. Let's say we want it dotted. And afterwards a line style. Our line style will be also dots. Okay. So let's show it. You can see a normal plot. But let's add 2 more. So now we have 2 more values we can change. Let's put it over here. This will be easier to see. For example, the next one should be green. And the third one should be blue. Then let's label it so we can see what everything is. Then we take a marker. There are many markers, so let's say we want a star for one. And for the other, let's say we take a triangle. And the line styles, there are not so many, but it should be a lot. Let's say we take a dashed line and then a dash dot line. Okay, here we can see it. Let's also add a legend. And it looks good. So, now for some better parts. These formulas are not good to look at, so let's use LaTeX style commands. So for that we use the $signs and simply say x times x, and again, now we can see it looks way better. It's also added over here. Perfect. So you can really use any kind of LaTeX command you want. Matplotlib can do it. Okay. The next, I've already shown it before, but you can see it again. We want some X labels. And we want some Y labels. So let's simply say X and Y. And we also had a title. Okay. Next up, we can also add or change the ticks. For example, we have ticks at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we want to change it. Copy it down and say we want plt.x ticks. And now we can pass everywhere we want to have these ticks. So let's say we only want them at 2 and 4. Now we only have tags in 2 and 4. And we can also do it for y, but you can see what I mean. And next we also want to set the limits. So for example, from 4 to 5, we don't want to see these values. So we say plt.xlimit of, we want to see it from 0 to 4. Of course, we can also do it for y. Perfect. Here, you should have a 0. Hey, delete it. This was the wrong one. Now we can see we only have from 0 to 4. And this may look better. Okay. Next, we can also change the complete style of the plots. So there are many different kind of styles. For that, we can simply say plt.style.available. See, there are many different kinds. So copy it down here. And now, what style do we want to use? plt.style.use is the command you want to use. So right now it should be, don't even know what it should be. Maybe classic. So let's say classic, just to be sure. And okay, classic looks a bit different, but you can see it. And yeah, as I said before, you can use many different ways. So let's say we want a dark background. Perfect. Looks wonderful. But we can of course also set the backgrounds with a different command. So copy it again. We want now to change the background to a different color. For that we can use the plt.gca command and then set the base color. And now, I think we can add the color like here with red, of course, but, and I haven't said it before, we can also use hex colors. For example, we want a gray hex color. Then we simply say we want this hex color, and now we should have a gray background. And what if we want to add a grid? For example, here at 60, so we can see wherever their point is. For that, we have a plt.grid command. So let's say we want a grid, we want a line style. A dashed line style, for example, would be the best. Then we also have to set, or might want to set the width of the line, so it won't be too big. Let's say to 0.5, that's not too big. And then we will also add an alpha, so the lines won't overshadow anything else. Say 0.5. And now we can see we have a grid. So, and next we also have the text and annotate commands. These are also pretty nice to see. Let's first do some other data. Let's say we want our typical x coordinates from 0 to 10 with 100 points, and then a sinus wave. Okay, then we plot it. And then now we want, first I add a plt.show to show it before. Looks good. And now we add a text. We can use plt.text command for that. And now I showed you before, the first part is the x possession. Let's say we want this peak. So for x, we have 2. And for y, let's say 0.8, because else it will be shown at the top and it wouldn't be easy readable. Next, the string. So we say we want the peak. And then let's also add a font size and a color. So font size, let's say 12. And color, we want red. Yeah, that looks good. And maybe if we want to annotate something, it's pretty similar to text, but we can also add an arrow, which will be easier to read. Let's say plt.annotate, and here the first command will be, or the first value will be the text. So let's say we want to mark this start. We add the text, then the x and y coordinates. Let's say, the good thing is we can say where the arrow starts. So we want a text where arrow is pointing here. So the arrow points to 0 and 0. So xy is 0, 0. Then we want to say where the text is. So xy text, y text equals. The text could be at, let's say it should be over here at 1 and maybe a bit above 0.2. So 1 and 0.2. And now we want to say which arrow we want. So arrow props equals, it wants a dictionary. So let's simply create one. Say the arrow style. We want default arrow. So this, and we want to add a nice color. We want a green color. And now it should work. And I forgot something. Oh yeah. Now we can see it. Of course, we can also change the size again, but we don't have to. Okay. Next. This next one should only be used if you know what kind of data you have. So let's say we create some data points, which are not easy to read. So our data is, let's say, use a nice list. So if we now plot it. We can see it's not really readable. So let's change our scale. And for that, let's use a subplot to easily see what is different. So let's do again big and axis. Add a subplot. We only want one row because I will only show with and without a different kind of scaling. And let's say our fixed size is 10 and 6 again. Now, our first one will be this default plot. And then also set the title, so we know where we look at. Let's say the first is without scaling. And then we add another one with scaling. Okay, now how do we scale? For that we add simple command called plt.yscale. Of course, we can also scale the x coordinates, but yeah, it's not really usable with this data. And we have different kinds of scaling. We have the linear scale, this is the default. Then we have the log scale, this is also the most used one, except of linear scale. Then we have some more, but I will only show the log scale. So we want a log scale, and that's it. Or not. Oh, okay, of course. Now we can see we have scaling on our y-axis. You should try it yourself with other scalings, but it won't change much, and log scale will be the best with this kind of data. Okay, the next part will be about pandas.